of strategic assets, especially farms, and stop compromising New Zealand's economic sovereignty in this way.
Honourable David Cunliffe.
Mr. Speaker, it's good to be back. Mr. Speaker, I've just got back and it's good to be back. I've just got back in this weekend from a few weeks overseas, and there's nothing like seeing New Zealand from 10,000 miles away to understand with a bit more perspective the problems that we have. Why are we debating, Mr. Speaker, the issue of Crafar farms? Because it is an emblem of a much deeper problem, sir, and it's a problem that ordinary New Zealanders out there understand, because what they think is wrong is that a New Zealand government-owned entity called Landcorp, instead of running New Zealand farms, is going to become a tenant for a subsidiary of the Chinese government, which is going to own a whopping great chunk of New Zealand prime farmland. That this national government is selling New Zealand pound by pound, hectare by hectare, and there will be nothing left. Underneath this is a real choice, Mr. Speaker. From long distance, it's really obvious. New Zealand either has to pay its way in the world by increasing the value of what we sell, or we follow the kind of road that members opposite are advocating, which is just to ship more volume of raw materials, and when that doesn't work, actually sell the land it came off. Now, what a terrible admission of failure. New Zealand, everybody knows, you go overseas, everybody knows New Zealand's a great farm. It's great at making protein and fibre, some of the best food products in the world, and we can be really proud of that, just like we are of our soldiers who fought to retain this land, and just like we are of our Olympians who've done us proud. But if we're so great at the things that farms produce, why wouldn't we want to add value to that production and retain that farmland rather than, as Dr. Russell Norman said, sell the goose that laid the golden eggs, sell out the underlying land itself? Now, I see that, Minister. Mr. Williamson has been carping away. Now, let's just get a few things straight. His first contention was Labour's anti-Chinese. Absolute rubbish. Labour's policy is blind to country of origin. It applies across the board evenly to any investor from any overseas jurisdiction, and in no way is it anti-Chinese. Indeed, it was Labour that signed the historic free trade agreement with the People's Republic of China, and we are pleased to see investment and trade increasing under that framework, but not at the expense of selling out our birthright. The Minister said New Zealand Labour is anti-foreign direct investment. That's absolute rubbish. I agree with the Minister. New Zealand is not paying its way in the world. The question is, how do we get there? And the answer is, we want the investment that allows us to do better, and we don't want the investment that simply takes away our future potential by selling the land that it comes from. So, Mr. Speaker, the Minister's next argument was, oh, well, Labour can't talk about this because some land was sold under them in previous years. Well, now there's the Minister, like a little jack in a box, popping up again. Here are some numbers, Mr. Speaker, that the public out there can get their head around. In 2008, the year that the Minister came to office, a black year for New Zealand, admittedly, there were 828 hectares of farmland sold overseas. 828. The Crafar Farms deal alone is 7,892 hectares. That one deal, 7,982 hectares, roughly 10 times everything that was sold in the year that Minister came to office. Mr. Speaker, Labour wants New Zealand to prosper. We want New Zealanders to get good jobs. While I've been away, the unemployment rate's gone up again. So, National, something's not working. Whatever you think is your plan, it's time to think again, because just milking more cows, digging up more of Southland, digging and selling off the land, selling out the whenua is clearly not getting people back to work. What happens, Mr. Speaker, if you sell your house to pay a mortgage and then end up renting for more than you were paying. You get poorer, right? You get poorer. And that is what we're doing. We are selling the farm and renting it back, and over time we'll be poorer because we will have paid more. In the jargon, the current account deficit will go up. And that is why our foreign debt is going up, and that is why we are getting poorer year by year. Mr. Speaker, the Crafar Farms decision was a poor one. Labor has a members' bill in David Shearer's name aimed at a better framework for foreign investment. We welcome it when it works. We don't when it doesn't.
By agreement of the parties, the next 2 5-minute calls have been merged to a 10-minute call. Jonathan Coleman.
Mr. Speaker.